Good afternoon. My name is Gina Musto, and I'm a business teacher over at Westford Academy, the public high school in Westford, Massachusetts. I've been teaching entrepreneurship here at the school since 2001. When my principal at the time told me, we need a new class, this sounds like a great idea, go with it. New teachers do whatever the principal says, so I did. No matter what we've used for curriculum or what books we've used or what approach we've used to teaching the class, we always go back to innovation and being more aware as consumers, as entrepreneurs, to really look at what's going on every day and the problems that we face, and to come up with a different, positive, solution-based approach. Even though some of these problems that my students have presented over the years aren't really true problems in adultish type terms, but one of the things that really resonated with me looking at the Difference Maker model is the approach really allows these students to think about problems as opportunities, to provide solutions that matter, solutions that could change our world, and also allow them to realize this satisfying exchange relationship we preach about in Marketing 1. I actually graduated from the University of Lowell. At the time it was that, University of Massachusetts at Lowell, in 1992. This was long before Difference Maker was a thing, long before we had not one, but 2 Starbucks locations. And I'm just so thrilled to come full circle and have this opportunity to collaborate with you all. When Jim Antonelli, our principal, encouraged me to reach out to Tom and Holly, I was really excited to try to create some kind of collaboration that was meaningful for our students. I was instantly impressed with the program, and it was just really seamless and easy to make this work for everyone and create this solution that we have here today. I'm also really thrilled that we're able to extend this opportunity to other schools besides Westford Academy. Last year, we started with 2 schools represented, and we've already doubled it. And pandemic aside, we're doing this and we're making it happen. So I'm really excited for this. I want to thank all the students for being ready to present their ideas and go out on a limb. I want to thank Jim Sullivan from Tewksbury High School and Tom Sousa from Chelmsford High School, our district leaders that have agreed to sponsor the event and provide the winners with some cash prizes for their development. I want to thank the judges who are volunteering to listening to these pitches, and obviously giving these kids some questions, some things to ponder, and some feedback that isn't from me. And also, I want to thank Tom and Holly for giving us this opportunity and making it happen in spite of the pandemic and the restrictions that we've all had to endure. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Holly Lalos, the Entrepreneurial Initiatives Director for the Difference Maker program at the University of Massachusetts Lowell.
I was muted there.
Oh,
all right.
The screen. Okay, there you go.
Yep. So thank you so much, Gina, for the introduction. It's really nice to have everyone here. I'm just going to talk a little bit about Difference Maker, give you some more background information on the program. So this is actually the 2nd annual Difference Maker High School Idea Challenge. So like Gina had mentioned, we're really excited to be able to host this despite COVID-19. So thank you all for your flexibility and your involvement. So just a few more thank yous. I know Gina thanks some people, but from UMass Lowell's end, a big thank you to Gina for really starting this partnership. A big thanks to Tom O'Donnell. So he's the Senior Director of Innovation Initiatives at UMass Lowell, and he's been very instrumental in starting up this program and the partnership as well. All the teachers who have prepared the students, throughout the semester and the year, to really prep them for this event and their involvement, as well as the schools who are participating today. So Chelmsford High School, Neshoba Regional High School, Tewksbury Memorial High School, and Westford Academy. And then for all the students here, if you're here to support your peers, thank you. It's also going to be a great learning opportunity for you. And then we have 4 teams who are actually going to be pitching. So congratulations, and also thank you for being here. I also wanted to recognize DECA because DECA is actually sponsoring the 3 cash prizes in the funding. So I did want to just recognize DECA for sponsoring the prizes this evening. And then, of course, a big thank you to our 3 judges who have actually gone through the Difference Maker program either more recently or many years ago and are very involved in UMass Lowell, Difference Maker, and also their own startups. So Raja, Tyler, and Tatyana, and Tom will actually give some formal introductions later on. So thank you for the 3 judges for being here and volunteering your time. So what is Difference Maker? Difference Maker is a campus-wide entrepreneurship program at UMass Lowell. And so we engage students of all majors and disciplines. So if a student has a problem they see that they want to solve, or they have some type of idea that they want to pursue, they come to Difference Maker, and then we give them a variety of different resources to help them actually push those ideas forward and solve those problems. Even if students don't have ideas, they can still get involved in all of our events. And very often we do some team building activities and we help get students involved with current teams. So whether or not students have ideas, if they want to build up that entrepreneurial skill set and get involved in the Difference Maker program, we have a variety of different opportunities to do so. So I mentioned Difference Maker offers resources to students to really help them pursue their ideas and solve those problems they've identified. So at UMass Lowell, we have a physical working space called DifferenceMaker Central. It's actually located conveniently next to one of the Starbucks locations that Gina had mentioned earlier. So maybe after COVID's done, we could do a field trip. You could come visit DifferenceMaker Central. We have other entrepreneurial spaces on campus. So right now, if you see Tom O'Donnell's background, he's at the Innovation Hub, which is located in downtown Lowell. So that's another really cool entrepreneurial space that startup companies use and that Difference Maker students also have access to. We have a mentor program, so advisors and people who really want to help guide our students to success. We have a variety of workshops, so skill building workshops, as well as team building events to, again, help students move their ideas forward and learn about the entrepreneurial process. And then, of course, we have a variety of funding opportunities in both semesters. So we offer some competitions in the fall. And then this spring semester, we actually have a $50,000 idea challenge. So that's coming up on April 14th, actually. And the 3 judges who are here this evening have all pitched and won at that idea challenge. So our judges are very valuable and have been through that entrepreneurial process. And if any of you are interested in attending that event and watching the teams pitch on the 14th, I can send that information to you, Gina. And then if you want to disseminate that, you can certainly do so. And we'd love to have you all. It's going to be a virtual event just like this one. So Difference Maker launched about 10 years ago. So since launching, we've reached over 56,000 students at UMass Lowell through all of our different events and activities. The teams that have gone through Difference Maker and won funding have raised over $5 million to date. So of external funding, almost 40 teams have incorporated as legal business entities. 10 student teams have either submitted or have issued patents. And then I talked about those dedicated entrepreneurial spaces we have at UMass Lowell, the Innovation Hub, we have Difference Maker Central, we have a medical device incubator space, and also a maker space. So students can access those additional resources. So as you probably have known through your coursework and getting involved in this extended high school Difference Maker program, there are a variety of different benefits. So whether or not you decide to pursue your idea long-term, the learning process is what's very valuable here. So you can obviously win some funding and pursue your idea. But there's also networking. So we're all here today, meeting one another, hearing ideas, getting feedback. You get to meet the judges, for example. So networking is very valuable. We have had teams actually gain job offers by meeting judges and different individuals. It's a very safe place to fail and to try again. So you have the support, we're here to help. Access to mentors, I mentioned, meeting different people of different expertise and skill sets, learning how to work in a team, crafting a presentation, learning how to sell an idea. So once you have internships, maybe co-op positions at some point in your life, jobs, you're going to have to know how to talk to your boss and potentially sell them on an idea. We also help with building up skills as far as communication skills, both written and verbal. So these are just some of the additional benefits and skill sets that you can gain by getting involved in DifferenceMaker. And so DifferenceMaker is all over social media. So we have obviously an email address if you want to contact us. We have Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter account, and then of course our website. So if you want to stay up to date on DifferenceMaker teams, events, activities, please do connect with us and follow us through our social media platforms. And the photo up here is actually a picture of our door on DifferenceMaker Central. So hopefully, again, once COVID is over, we can maybe do a field trip and have you all on the UMass Lowell campus to see some of those different entrepreneurial spaces. And with that, I would like to introduce Tom O'Donnell. Again, he's the Executive Director of Innovation Initiatives at UMass Lowell, and he is acting as our event MC this afternoon. So thank you, Tom. I'm going to pass it off to you.
Holly, thank you so much. Do appreciate it. And I'm going to ask, and as a faculty member in the business school as well, we ask this all the time. Could you all please turn on your cameras? I want to see those faces. I hate seeing just texts of names. I'll wait a minute. Give folks a minute to thank you. Thank you, Viraj. Victor, thank you. All right, looking good. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. So much better than looking at a bunch of blank screens. So as Holly said, I'm going to be emceeing today. Looking forward to the opportunity to work with all of you today. My first order of business is to set the stage, something that Holly made reference to. This is a safe space. We are not here to put you under the, what's the right way to phrase this? We're not going to be super critical. We're going to be helpful. We're going to provide feedback. The judges are going to provide feedback, but we want you to enjoy this experience. We're here to help. We're here to encourage and nurture, and we want all of you to be extremely successful. 3 of the folks who are going to lead and help out with that are our judges, and I'm going to introduce them quickly right now. First one, Raja Abdelaziz is founder and CEO of Invisaware. Raja, raise your hand. There you go. Raja started out with her team, what was it, 2016? Raja, when you guys were in, came up with some ideas, engineering students. What's that?
Yep, you're correct, Tom. 2016, almost 5 years ago.
And so their team, engineering students, with at that time, no real thinking of becoming entrepreneurs, participated in a DifferenceMaker program. And that eventually led to the formal founding and right now the growth of their company, Invisaware, which is a company focused on essentially smart jewelry that also acts as a discrete warning system to alert public safety and friends and family if an emergency arises. And they're doing some amazing stuff. Once we get started, I'm sure Raja can share some more details. But Raja, thank you so much for being here. Looking forward to you sharing your experiences with the team.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, hang on. The sensors on the lights, they go out. So our second judge, Tyler Cody, also, Tyler, 2017?
2017, correct.
2017. And he and his team founded what is now Operations 250. And the company is focused on essentially diverting students who are susceptible to being attracted into radicalized groups, terrorist groups, to help them understand all the bad with that, with some online tools and some training programs, and to help them essentially steer to more productive and engaged lives. And the name Operations 250, and I should ask this as a trivia question, but because some of you may not, Op 250, 250 US citizens have been attracted and actually left to join ISIS. And so Tyler and his team, and it's probably more now, right, Tyler?
Haven't seen the updated statistics on that, but yeah, when we started, that was the number. So the idea was to prevent another 250 from leaving.
Yeah. So he and his team are doing fantastic stuff. And again, I would suggest, Tyler, did you have thoughts of being an entrepreneur in your undergrad days?
Absolutely not. Was not in the cards when I first entered into UMass Lowell, but when I started along this path and got involved with DifferenceMaker, all my plans definitely changed.
Amen. And our third judge, last but not least, Tatyana Tompkins, who not just one, but two teams within the DifferenceMaker program. First team, Protected PIN, essentially an application tool to effectively provide two-factor authentication for folks wanting to use their ATM in both e-commerce, but also getting money from the ATM machines. Phenomenal tool, and she's working with some partners on that. The second one, No Snow Mat. So you can probably guess from the title, No Snow Mat is a mat that essentially melts the snow in a very productive and efficient way that eliminates the need for you to shovel or to snow blow. And so, Tatyana, fantastic that not just one team, but two. And just want to share a few words on that for your experience.
Yeah, I was really thankful to have been part of the DifferenceMaker program. Congratulations, everybody, for being here. And yeah.
Thank you, Tatyana. And so, Holly had asked me also to talk a little bit more broadly about the innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem here on campus, but as Holly also hinted at, in the region. So all of you are extremely fortunate and blessed to be in a region that is just so rich and diverse with activities and support infrastructure for budding entrepreneurs, folks who see opportunities, want to move forward, and in many cases, don't know how to do it. And as you heard, some of our graduates of the DifferenceMaker program in the early days had absolutely no idea. But to their credit, stepped forward, engaged, and look what where they are now. So the challenge and the invitation to all of you, step forward, connect, engage, and there's no predicting where that will lead, but I would suggest it will lead to some very interesting and attractive opportunities overall. So here on campus, three things: educational opportunities, opportunities to advance research, and opportunities to impact society, impact to the community. So that first one, educating students in many areas. And again, Holly hinted at some of that. So curricular, co-curricular, and extracurricular opportunities to get our students to not only develop skills in traditional professional areas, engineering, sciences, health sciences, nursing, education, to be teachers, so many different areas. And so we teach them how to think deep in those areas. But on top of that is to think broadly around potentially the research and other areas that they're working on in collaboration with faculty members and working in some of the labs, and really think through how we can move that forward. And that's where, on the third area, how we take that forward. And there's so many opportunities to engage with incubators, accelerators, working with mentors, advisors, coaches, connecting with established companies, and also some of the other startups who are already here in our ecosystem, engaging with opportunities to get some financing, some funds that can help you move your initiatives forward. And then, as I hinted, connections in that broader ecosystem here in region. And just as I said, connect, step up, and try to move your ideas forward. Holly mentioned the Innovation Hub and M2D2. I am here at the Innovation Hub, which is, we have one here in Lowell and one up in Haverhill, about 20 miles north of here. And essentially think of it as a space to support entrepreneurs who are looking to form, grow, and scale up their startups. And we help them with space, access to equipment, fabrication and prototyping equipment, access to mentors and advisors, access to events and programs, both educational programs, but also programs to connect in region. And that connection to folks in region is in many ways is so valuable. So part of it is just connecting and engaging, and it helps. We have lots of relationships with organizations, companies, civic organizations, nonprofits, government agencies, obviously folks up on campus, faculty, staff, other groups. And our job, as an example, is to help you connect to all those organizations. There's no straight path to becoming an entrepreneur. That's why we ask all of you who want to essentially start that path. Don't hesitate, connect, try to establish those relationships. And because of the fantastic work with Gina and the folks in her team at Westford Academy, but also the other schools in region, you can consider yourselves already part of the family, and just obviously reach out, connect, and Gina and Stavros and the teachers in the high school can help you do that. So again, invite you to connect, and we look forward to seeing you. So what are we doing today? We essentially going to ask each team to pitch for 5 minutes. Then we're going to take another 8 to 10 minutes for the judges to ask questions, as well as others here to ask questions. Then we're going to rotate through. Then the judges are going to break away after every team has a chance to talk. I'm going to be the MC on that, as was mentioned. Keep everybody on time, as well as the Q&A. The judges are then going to break away for probably about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Come back, and then we're going to announce the winners. And there's some awards for that. And hopefully, when you look at this, obviously, cash is king in many ways, but the real value, and this is what we tell our teams here, it's access to the mentoring, the coaching, access to opportunities to share your ideas, opportunities to other resources. And so with that, I'm going to share one piece of advice. When you share your ideas, and I coach teams on this, pitch it as if you were talking to an investor, right? Somebody who you're asking for money to help you advance your initiative, your venture, your idea. Now, investors can come in at all the different stages, right? Early on, a little bit later, And eventually, when you're starting to scale up, where you're potentially talking to venture capitalists who are really going to grill you. So when you get there, hopefully you're prepared. 3 things to think about. First, is what you're doing compelling? The product, the solution that you're talking about, that you're looking to advance. Okay? Is it interesting? Is it different? Is it compelling? Right? Does it address a real need? Right? First and foremost. Secondly, who cares about it? Is it a real problem that's being addressed? Is it something that you're doing differently so that's not just a me too, right? Because if it's a me too, it looks like everybody else, nobody's going to care for the most part, right? And then third, do you have the ability to deliver, right? And in so many ways, at the stage where you're at, it's all about the passion on the problem, the passion on your commitment to potentially move it forward, the passion on addressing a compelling need in the world overall. As you move forward, it's also, do you have the right skills, the right resources on the team, the right partnerships, the right access to equipment? And will you be able to execute in a time frame that's compelling? So I ask, going forward, as you think about your ventures, your ideas, that lens that the investors put forward is a pretty compelling lens to use. Reach out to us. We can talk in depth on that in much more detail, because each one of those 3 buckets, there's so many details behind that. And I just wanted to share that for today. And a lot of the stuff you're going to talk about today fits into that, because I know that Gina and Stavros and the education you've received has coached you in those areas. And I see Gina and Stavros nodding their heads, because it is compelling. So with that, are we ready? Are you ready to get started? Give me a thumbs up. Boy, low energy. We're gonna push you on that. As I said, 5 minutes. We're gonna be real tight on the time. We're gonna break for 10 on the Q&A. And from that, I wish you all the best of luck. And I think you all have presentations. You can share your screens. First up, the team from Neshoba Regional High School. Abigail Eastman, are you going to be, Abby, are you
Yes.
going to be speaking?
Yes. Okay, let me just figure out how to share my screen.
So down below, you'll see share screen. Just click on that.
Okay, I clicked on it, but didn't.
It's not giving you an option.
Yeah, that's. Trying to figure it out. That's so. I just closed all my tabs.
Hang on,
Oh boy.
you should see it. Let me change something. Try it now, Abby.
Okay, hold on. I need to pull up the presentation again.
So as we're doing that, I'm going to ask the rest of the teams, have your presentation already up in share screen mode, so that when you share your screen, it's a real quick click just to that presentation.
I don't know
How's
why
that?
it won't let me share it. That's really weird.
Have you done a share screen before?
Not on
It's-
Zoom, on Google Meet, but it won't. That's really weird.
You have full privilege. Tell you what, why don't we
I actually have it if you want me to share it. If you don't, I can click for you if that will work, Abby.
Yeah, you can, yeah, that can work.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know why that's not working.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
Abby, the floor is yours.
Okay, so hi, my name is Abigail Eastman, and my startup business plan is Pandemic Pack. So the problem, what essential items do you need while in quarantine? How can you pack to quarantine such a short period of time? And how can I make sure that COVID-19 doesn't spread? So with Pandemic Pack, we can help reduce the stress of COVID-19. Our primary targets are first-year college students aged 16 to 19, and our secondary targets are families, travelers, and the general public. So I did my research and I looked up more than half of the students are at least somewhat anxious about COVID-19, whether it's if I get COVID, where do I go? So if you add up all of these percentage, in total, that's 81% of students that have COVID-induced anxiety/stress. So I also did some research on what colleges, like how many COVID cases are in colleges. So on December 11th, 2020, more than 85 colleges have reported at least 1,000 cases over the course of the pandemic, and more than 680 colleges have reported at least 100 cases. And of course, the number has grown since the pandemic has gone on. So how are we going to get our product out there? So college investments, I'll talk about that a little bit later, but that's one big major thing. In college advertising, which also leads from college investing, and then social media. Most kids are on social media. So getting our product out there is very important. And then the key metrics is rating and reviews. Any feedback we can get is super important. We want to know how we're doing. We want to know how our product is, and posting images on like Instagram, if they tell us, like, even if it's maybe something a little bit bad, but we can still take that as feedback and learn from it. So our 3 new revenue forecasts. So in 1 year, we plan to have 2,500 customers. If you think about it, if we have 3 colleges investing in us, and that's about like, 2,500 is a reasonable number. And with our revenue of $137,500, that's selling each pack for about $55. So I think that's pretty reasonable. And we plan to double that in the second year and then triple the second year for our 3rd year. So college investments. So we plan to have big party schools invest in us, like University of Alabama, Syracuse, UMass. And we think that having big colleges invest in us, because with parties, more COVID cases are about to happen. And so how will investing help? By colleges investing in us, they can promote Pandemic Pack to incoming students. And by the colleges promoting our product, more students are likely to have it. And by the colleges investing in us, we can add in like sweatshirts or phone sticky cases or UMass, or just like masks in general, which will attract the college students more. So the solution, Pandemic Pack can help with 3 key features. It reduces stress, which provides an easier transition to quarantine. Everything is packed and ready to go whenever disaster strikes, and it helps keep you and your loved ones safe. Pandemic Pack is a perfect item for busy people. It's easy to store, ready to go, and has everything you may need in case you catch COVID. So our unique value proposition is perfect for all ages, and it has high quality products such as masks, cough drops, tissues, snacks, Tylenol, really anything you could think of. And as we know, we're the only brand doing this. So how can we further expand Pandemic Pack? So expanding to larger number of colleges and universities helps our primary target grow larger, and selling to more worldwide stores, expanding electronically like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and selling to more places our secondary target would be like Target, Walmart, or Walgreens. And then with our 1-year budget plan, we plan to put more towards advertising. Starting off with a small business, we need to advertise more. It's a big step. And so the bigger our product gets, we need a larger manufacturing area so we can produce more and get it out faster. And thank you. I will now take any questions that you may have.
Abby, thank you so much. Terrific presentation. I will open it to the floor for the judges. Just go ahead and jump in.
Well, first off, I wanted to start off by saying great job, Abby. That was a very nice presentation. I thought you did a great job. I remember being in your shoes a few years ago, and I remember how nervous I was. So great job. You're very confident, and the presentation overall was very nice. I could definitely see myself purchasing a pandemic pack. My question for you is, how do you plan to protect yourself from the competition? So a lot of small businesses have been launching on TikTok. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the platform or not. And one of our partners who we work with, she creates pepper sprays, and she started her business, and now a lot of people are copying her. So I guess my question is, how are you going to protect yourself from other people copying you and trying to create pandemic packs as well? Have you thought of that? And no worries at all if you haven't, but just curious what your thoughts are on that.
I haven't exactly thought of it, but I think that since we're starting off earlier in a sense than other things, the more our product is bigger, the more it's going to be harder for other competitors to catch up to us. So the more colleges we reach out to, the bigger our product can get. And I feel like it can somewhat protect itself, as we can be doing like most products probably won't invest in colleges, as I could say. So with like the sweatshirts that we'll be adding, or like the sticky phone case wallets, or the mask, that just puts something unique into us.
Amazing. Yeah, we call that a first market advantage. That was one of the answers I always used to tell people as well when they would ask me how we're going to protect from competition on Invisaware. So I definitely think that's a great approach. Great job, Abby.
Tyler, Tatyana, questions?
Abby, great job. That was very succinct, very confident. I'll reflect, I'll be the same as Raja said. It is a stressful situation to be delivering this, especially to 28 small square boxes of different individuals. So well done. So something that I wanted to know if you thought about, something that maybe it may not be in the plans, may not be what you're going for, but have you thought about potentially doing like a tiered option of the pandemic pack, where you have kind of an entry level that may have something, more along lines of snacks, and maybe not a lot of, the big flashy parts of a pandemic pack. Then you have like an intermediate level, and then a kind of like an expert level pandemic pack. Have you thought about maybe doing something like that? May not be in the cards right away, but something maybe further down the line of making your product more accessible to different individuals.
We've somewhat thought about it. So our primary target is obviously first year college students, and that's why we did the whole college investments and like adding in like sweatshirts or anything like involved with the school. But like also like our secondary targets, like families or travelers or just the general public, without adding in like the sweatshirts or any of the college apparel. It's just like a great pack to have in the first place. Just like the apparel is just another accessory that could be good to have.
Thank you.
Great job, Abby. I think this is an amazing idea, perfect timing. I was wondering if you thought about the idea, because right now things are starting to lighten up, so we hope, within the pandemic. Have you thought about how you will transition as things get lighter within schools? Because I know it'd be a great idea, maybe for first year college students, they could use that even if they're just sick. It doesn't have to be COVID related. Even if they just have a flu, some sort of sickness where they can't be around other people, this would also be a great idea. I know if I was sick, I would buy this product myself. So great idea. If I was wondering if you thought about that at all yet.
Yeah, so like pandemic pack, like we don't know how long the pandemic's going to be here, but it can also go to like a traveler's pack, like just like a first aid kit in your car. It could just be like another first aid kit in your house, because like it could be for the flu, or like who knows if another pandemic's going to happen. Hopefully not, but it just go to a traveler's pack, just like a first aid kit in your car or something like that.
Cool. Love the idea.
So Abby, go ahead.
You thought about how much it will cost you to make one of these? I know you mentioned you're going to sell it between $50 to $60. Do you know how much it will cost and what the profit margin is going to be?
So planning on buying like the mask and like hand sanitizer and tissues, everything in bulk, since we could be selling at multiple products, we expect it to be reasonably not too expensive. And then with all the college investments that we gave, we hope to get the apparel for a cheaper price, not as too expensive. So if we like add those up, that's why I put the price range. We're making like a profit of like 5 to 10 per box, I would say. So not too much, but a good amount. So.
Thank you.
So Abby, real quick question on your messaging. You very clearly stated the party schools, right? Some people think party schools is a good thing. Some, like parents, don't, and administrators don't like being categorized as party schools. So in that messaging, I completely understand the need. Just be careful on some of that messaging. You're on mute.
Oh, I think just muted, but yeah, I just brought up something like that. I just know, or just like big schools in general, because there should be more kids. And of course, college students are going to party at some point, but I just looked up like top party schools and just those were the ones that popped up. So
Totally get it. I'm happy. I got a chuckle out of that. So
We're at 7 minutes on questioning.
Abby, just to build on one of the other points I think some of the other judges made, the ability when somebody else comes in, I think it was Raja made this, somebody else comes in and replicates what you're doing. What's going to allow you to maintain that competitive advantage, to maintain that footprint in the market. And things to consider, maybe there's some unique elements that only you and your team can put in that pack, right? You can develop potentially relationships with local providers that make it unique and compelling. Don't know, but I think Rajan had an extremely good point on if you demonstrate success, there will be people jumping in. Any other questions, judges? Abby, thank you so much. Great job.
thank you.
So second up, we have the team from Tewksbury Memorial High, Mia and Ava.
Hello.
Are you guys able to share? Awesome.
Yes.
The floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Mia Gaglione, and this is my co-founder Ava Gilligan, and together we have created InsuWatch, an innovative way for diabetics to manage and live with diabetes. Using our watch linked with its app will make it easier for diabetics to manage insulin and the effects and precautions needed to take when insulin is needed. Diabetics will be able to get into an easy routine that is less work and less troublesome than typical diabetic options.
About 30.3 million people in the US alone have diabetes. Treatment requires many doctor visits, maintaining a stable and healthy diet, and monitoring blood pressure and numerous types of sugar levels. If not treated correctly, problems such as kidney defects, heart attacks, or even death can occur.
Diabetes is usually first diagnosed in 14-year-olds. We plan to release InsuWatch in 2021, targeting anyone from that age who may need help with all the overwhelming new changes that comes with the responsibilities of living with diabetes, or anyone who is currently living with diabetes that has been diagnosed previously.
Our device is a more affordable and much more convenient device than a product and a regular insulin pump. With the standard insulin pump, time is required to change injection sites and visiting a specialist to create a healthcare plan. Well, InsuWatch does all of that for you.
According to a 17-year-old high school male, InsuWatch would solve many of the problems that he struggles with daily. It would also lower his concern about his sugar levels.
Some competition to our product is a pump called Omnipod.
Omnipod is a diabetic device in the form of a pump that can test and inject insulin through the pod. However, InsuWatch is a much better option for newly diagnosed diabetics since it includes a personalized healthcare plan when using the app.
In the graphs shown in the slide, the cost of InsuWatch compared to a regular insulin pump without health insurance, the price of InsuWatch will be almost 50% less costly than standard insulin pumps.
This is because with the partnership of medical technology companies during the development period of InsuWatch, using any parts that they have manured or created themselves will cut down on the cost to make. And with a consumer market of 30.3 million people, we hope to sell our product to about 10% of diabetics or 3 million people.
We plan to market InsuWatch with 5 simple key parts: a replaceable needle trays, health plan, blood test, alerts, and restrictions.
The replaceable needle trays will be located on the bottom of the watch. Using the trays on the bottom of the watch, it will rotate after one use to prevent infection, and this will be used to test the blood right within the technology of the watch to see if insulin is needed.
Our watch will use the data from the blood samples taken to detect nutrients that will benefit the body, using the linked app to create a health plan just for you. This will cut down on doctor visits, and to even make it more personalized towards you, it allows you to put in your food preferences.
Watch technology also allows alerts to let the user know if food, insulin, or exercise is needed. The watch will use the replaceable needle trays to test the blood to see if blood sugar is low, and then will alert the user using a small buzz to notify them to keep on top of their needs.
Because InsuWatch is going to be worn a majority of the time, it should not be worn through bathing or water activities.
InsuWatch will eliminate the hassle of testing blood, managing health plan, and is exponentially cheaper than other options.
With funding from the DifferenceMaker program, we will advance the technology in the watch to get attention from major medical technology companies. Working with companies like this will allow InsuWatch to expand into a bigger market, allowing more diabetics access to the device.
The cost to develop InsuWatch is uncertain, as it would take a team of experts to determine.
However, comparing the prices of other diabetic devices on the market and regular smartwatches, we estimate that the market value of what InsuWatch would cost consumers would be around $2,500 without health insurance.
Here's an estimated budget and company outline for the next year.
In May to August, all resources would go towards developing the watch and creating the software that will be used in both the watch and the app. Following that, in August to September, we would do product trials where we'd be testing the watch to see if any adjustments would be needed. This would increase customer satisfaction and safety. Once the development and testing of the software of the watch is completed, the company will focus on marketing. This will take place from September through November.
Our main marketing strategy is going to be through numerous social media platforms such as Instagram and Facebook. This is because many newly diagnosed diabetics are around 14 years of age and are very active on social media. The estimated cost of social media marketing for 2 months will be around $3,000, and in December, InsuWatch will finally be released.
After the release from January 5th to March of 2022, the company will look to expand its market based off the success of the launch. Finally, from March to May, the product improvements can be made based off customer feedback and satisfaction.
Sure, diabetics can turn to a specialist to create a workout and food plan, constantly worrying about their blood sugar level and testing their blood multiple times a day. With our product, that should be all taken care of.
We believe that InsuWatch is completely feasible and has the opportunity to be extremely successful in massive market.
Thank you all so much for your time today. Please feel free to ask any questions you may have.
On the money, 5 minutes.
Excellent job. Excellent job. And with that, let's open it up to questions from the judges.
That was a phenomenal presentation, ladies. Great job. And I think this is such an incredible idea. I actually did a lot of research when I was younger about diabetes. One of my what was supposed to be my future husband, Nick Jonas, was diabetic, and I researched so much about it when I was younger. So I think this is definitely an incredible idea, and I could definitely see this being super successful. We have 2 questions. My first question is, how did you ladies come up with the idea? 1, and 2, what is your plan to bring it to market? So I know you mentioned that there's a lot of experts. Are you guys talking to anyone? And do you know roughly how much it would cost to bring a product like this to market?
So our inspiration originally came from our friend who found out, I think it was 8th grade, that he had diabetes, and it was just a lot to him. It was very overwhelming. It was really hard for him to adjust and get used to everything. And when we were trying to come up with ideas, we wanted to get something that we knew impacted a lot of people, and this happened to hit close to home. So
I love that.
We would estimate that using social media marketing, it would cost about $3,000 for 2 months of marketing. As we said, we choose this form of marketing because 14-year-olds is usually when they first get diagnosed with diabetes, and they're very active on social media. So after 2 months, we would wait and see what the success of InsaWatch is. And from there, maybe turn to a more bigger type of marketing, such as maybe commercials, billboards. And then for the second question, we would think that a total overall cost of marketing after the 2 months of social media marketing of $3,000. A commercial usually takes about $10,000 to make roughly. So we would have to base how we want to go on marketing based on the success of the launch. So if we chose to go through that avenue, it'd be about $10,000, $13,000 total.
Very nice. Thank you, ladies. I love why you came up with it. That's very touching that you wanted to help your friends.
Thank you.
Well done. Very, very compelling idea, and definitely something that is needed. So thank you for putting in the time to really think about this and listening to people's stories. I find that some of the best ideas and the innovation and entrepreneurial space starts with just a simple story and talking to people that need help. So well done. Question that I have. So it seems like your idea is the watch. That's like the main idea. You also mentioned an app as well, correct? So have you thought about the cost of building the app and connecting the watch with the app and all of that stuff? And kind of, do you have any idea on what the cost would potentially be to build that technology?
Well, we don't want to give you an exact price, just as a
That's fine.
product like this is very
Futuristic.
futuristic would be the word. So we were hoping that as part of our company outline throughout the next year, that partnering with a major medical technology company would be part of that. And with that, they would be able to put a team of engineers and computer specialists on something like that.
Okay. All right. And then my other question, and it's sort of a question, thinking, so your social media plan seems to be really geared towards younger individuals, because 14 is about the average age of when individuals find out that they're diabetic. Have you thought that, do you feel as though that kids, that it may be the case, but do you feel as though kids that age are they paying attention to the risks and the signs of diabetes, or do you feel as though you need to be also gearing it towards parents as well, so that parents are able to get that? Because there's a chance that if a 14-year-old is the one that is diabetic, they're going to be helped by their parents to pay for said watch and app.
So that's a great point. I think that with the social media marketing, like obviously if as a teenager you find something, you bring it to your parents' attention. I think that InsaWatch will obviously need to be discussed with parent and user, and that it'll be more helpful towards the 14-year-olds, because even if they're not so worried about what could go wrong or what bad things could happen, it will be able to do that for them. It can alert them if their blood sugar is low and they need to eat something, and it'll help take a little bit of the stress off the parents, so that they won't have to be so on top of their kids medical stuff.
All right, thank you. And well done to both of you. That was a very delightful presentation.
Thank you.
Hi. Right off the bat, great idea. My brother is actually a type 1 diabetic. So I'm very familiar with all the in and outs of a diabetic. My first question is, what is your biggest design challenge? My brother is super, super, super crazy about how his pump has to be. If it's not in a certain spot on his belt hooked up, he's all crazy for the day. So I know it has to be very in particular how the needle goes in and all that stuff. So is there anything in particular that you've had trouble with so far?
So the part of our watch that would be able to test the blood and tell the user if they need insulin is the replaceable needle trays on the bottom of the watch. And I think that was the most conceptual part of creating the idea of InsaWatch, being able to take the technology of testing a user's blood, usually by finger pricks, sorry. So being able to allow the user to have all that in one watch, because it's located on the wrist where veins are very abundant. So using something like that would help diabetics have like an all-in-one device.
Cool.
Tatyana,
cool.
can I just clarify on that? So Mia and Eva, is this just a testing device or a testing and insulin injection device combined?
So this would just be a testing device.
Okay.
Insulin needs to be injected into more fattier parts of the body, such as your arm or your leg.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, cool. I understand that more now. Another question, well, not really a question, but I think it was a great idea with how you focus on the social media aspect. My brother, again, the only diabetic I really am close to, follows the TikTok hashtag of diabetics. So he keeps up to date with other kids his age who obviously post about diabetic problems and stuff like that. So I think that's a great idea. The way that technology is advancing every single day, I think it's becoming more common to just be able to track your health right through your phone or through your Apple Watch or anything like that. So I think this was a great idea and a great start so far. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So we didn't ask this on the last team, but taking this forward post high school into college and moving it forward, is that on the radar, or what are you guys thinking?
We would hope so. My dream is to go into business and her dream is to go into nursing. So having both the medical and the business standpoint of a business like this is great. So we would hope that someday in the future, this could go beyond an idea.
And to that end, using the networks that you currently are part of at high school, within your family, broader community, maybe church, synagogue, whatever in those groups that you're in, have you started sharing this idea and potentially starting to connect with individuals, potentially in companies, in other organizations that might be able to help you out?
Personally, I've only really spoken to like my family, our close friends about the product. Like I know my mom, she works in a hospital, so she has a lot of good connections that way who work on devices and such. So hopeful.
Yes, I was gonna say something similar, actually. I was gonna say like what Tatyana mentioned about there being a lot of groups, a lot of diabetics do follow hashtag diabetes struggles. So it would be great as well for you guys to reach out to some of these groups to get feedback. That's an inexpensive way to do marketing as well, to reach out to some influencers as well who've been vocal. Like I joked about Nick Jonas. If you do reach out to Nick Jonas and you meet him, please call me. But no, getting a lot of support would allow you to show more credibility to bigger companies who could assist you in developing a product like this. But great job, ladies.
If I can add to what Raja said and what Tom said as well, just kind of experientially from our perspective when we went through Difference Makers and even before and after Difference Makers, I don't think one thing that I really wish we did differently was really infiltrate and have conversations with people in the market sooner. You can never just start having those conversations soon enough. And so now we do it all the time, which is great. But going back, we would have had questions answered and gotten over speed bumps probably months and years ahead of time had we just had some of those critical discussions earlier in our process. So, and that only goes to you two, but it goes to all of you, everybody presenting. That's just a really, really important thing to, when it's all said and done, you're trying to get to customers, and the people that know the customers the best are the customers themselves. So have those conversations. They'd be more than willing to talk to you, especially if you're interested in going into nursing and business. Those are the kind of people they want to talk to young people and talk to them, try and get them as much help as possible. So that's all I say. Sorry for jumping in, Tom.
No, that's spot on. And so and we'll move on in a quick, but because one of the teams canceled, we have a little extra time. So I think this is a helpful conversation. How many of you budding entrepreneurs think that if you share your idea at this stage, that somebody's going to steal it? You do? Okay. You know what? I will suggest to you that if you don't share, not so much how you're doing it, but what you're doing at a high level, if you don't start sharing it, to Raj's point, to Tyler's point, as soon as possible, you may be going in completely the wrong direction and you won't even know it.
I agree.
At the end of the day, it's about execution. And you're in the best position to execute, right? It's your idea. Don't be afraid of sharing. Raja, Tyler, Tatyana, what do you think?
I couldn't agree more, Tom. And I'm not going to lie, Ray, my business partner, and I, when we originally started, that was our biggest fear, was if we told someone, what if they stole our idea? But you really do need to talk about it so that you can get feedback. I shared this story time and time again, but Ray and I are both engineers. So we were bringing more of an engineering mindset into the development. All we were thinking about was we want all of these cool bells and whistles in our jewelry. Like we wanted to vibrate when help is on the way. And we wanted to have an LED and all this stuff. And that's not what people want. People want as small and visually appealing as possible. And had we not gone out and talked to potential customers, we would have created another version of a big bulky panic button with just more vibration motors and LEDs. So it's super important. And back to like what we were talking about with Abby, the speed to market is a huge factor. I mean, it's inevitable for you guys to have copycats. Even Invisaware has copycats. That young woman we work with on TikTok. There's always going to be people who try and copy you. It's about how you differentiate yourself from the competition. And there's a huge advantage to being the first to market. You kind of become the well-known brand and the go-to name. I agree completely, Tom. Don't
Thank
be
you.
afraid.
So, judges, something that we forget to do on the first pitch, are you guys keeping nice notes and keeping track of all your scoring, or do you need a little bit of time? Because we can go to a commercial break. Gina says she's got a couple of really good jokes that she's been wanting to tell. So do you guys need time? Are you tracking? Pretty good.
Joke.
I'm keeping up pretty well.
So you're good?
There we go.
So we can jump into the next pitch? Beautiful. All right. Chelmsford High with clean crate. Ganesh, it's all yours. And I hope I pronounced that. Ganesh or Ganesh? I think it's
Ganesh.
Ganesh.
Okay. Can everyone see my presentation?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Ganesh Dunke. Today, I'm presenting my company, Clean Crate. Clean Crate is a grocery delivery application which serves to address three main problems, two which affect consumers and the third affecting businesses. Firstly, since the beginning of the pandemic, the number of consumers who now actively avoid shopping in person has risen dramatically to nearly 75%. This in turn generated a greater demand for food and grocery delivery services, such as Instacart or Grubhub. However, many smaller businesses aren't able to have food delivered, either due to the cost of doing it themselves or to the restrictions that many of these platforms and applications have. As a result, there exists a demand for delivery from small businesses, which, for the most part, remains unfulfilled. Additionally, the demand for healthy food has increased greatly in recent years. While there are some national chains that provide convenient options for healthy food, when surveyed, customers greatly prefer farm-fresh food or food bought directly from farms. Unfortunately, factors such as busy schedules and a lack of closely local options can make this difficult for many consumers. As a result, despite it being preferred, it can be inaccessible to many consumers. The third problem, which directly affects businesses, is the high commission fees many delivery services charge. Since the beginning of the pandemic, many businesses have been pushed to delivery services to stay afloat. However, these services often charge very high commission fees, on top of other fees such as rentals or point-of-sales equipment or software. This has a direct negative impact on how profitable these businesses can be. There exists real opportunity in the market to solve this problem. The new preference for consumers to have food delivered is directly correlated with the real demand for delivery services, with sales nearly doubling for many of the current options. Additionally, surveys on the preference for healthy food have shown that consumers widely prefer farm fresh food. A study by the state of New Jersey found that 72% of consumers prefer food that's certified as locally grown by small businesses. Across the board, current options charge a high commission fee of around 30%, on top of additional per order and monthly fees. Such a large commission has a quantifiable negative impact on businesses, and as a result, there exists a real opportunity to solve it. The main competitors in the market are Uber Eats, Grubhub, Postmates, and DoorDash. They all share the same model of charging consumers a flat fee and charging businesses a commission based on their total order. Looking at the United States, the demographic of consumers most likely to use such a delivery service are higher income and middle class households. Not only are they most likely to purchase healthy food due to the associated price hike, they're also the most likely to be able to afford regularly having food delivered. Across the United States, this comes to a total of 110 million people. Additionally, there are around 1 million food-related small businesses across the United States, with around 273,000 of them being small businesses selling to consumers. In order to solve the previously mentioned problems, Clean Crate will adopt a delivery service model similar to the options currently on the market. However, there are a few key differences, which will serve to solve the previously mentioned issues. Clean Crate will charge a $30 monthly subscription for weekly deliveries, eliminating the need to charge large commissions. This helps to better organize orders, provide consumers with a cheaper price for delivery, and create a more beneficial and profitable delivery option for small businesses and farms. We will prioritize partnering with small businesses and adding them to our platform, addressing the issue of farm fresh food being inaccessible. This model provides three main advantages over the competitors. For one, it encourages businesses to remain partnered with Clean Crate following the pandemic due to the lack of commission fees. The inclusion of small farms and businesses means that compared to competitors, Clean Crate is a primary option to have food delivered from such businesses. The subscription model provides a lower cost for weekly deliveries and makes Clean Crate a more appealing option for businesses. A unique value proposition summarizing the benefits of Clean Crate is get healthy food without thinking about it. If I were to win DifferenceMaker funding, the main way it would be applied to further the project would be a trial run for the service. Taking a look at the timeline spanning from May 2021 to May 2022, the first 2 months would be spent researching the best location and businesses for the trial run, and then reaching out to businesses and working out the required logistics, such as sorting out their inventory. The money would be primarily spent in the third month, which would include things like hiring employees for the trial run and figuring out the software that's going to be utilized. From the third trial, from then until October, when the trial run begins, advertising will be done primarily through social media and community events such as farmers markets. The trial run itself will begin in October and run till May. Thank you for listening to my presentation. Any questions?
Again, 5 minutes on the money. Nicely
Guys,
done.
guys are good. Guys, thank you so much. Terrific presentation, well thought out. Judges, what do you got?
That was amazing. I love this idea. I actually will say at the very beginning of the pandemic, I was petrified of going to the supermarket. So I remember looking at a bunch of different apps, and there's things like DoorDash, but like you said, there really is a gap for supermarket apps. I know Target has one, but with the increased demand, it's been very hard to get access to it. So I think it's a great idea. My question for you would be, in terms of a timeline, do you think, would you develop an app? Would it be a website? Have you thought about that? I know you said you wanted to start off by doing some research and building connections. Can you build upon exactly how you would spend the funding that you won and when you think your platform would be live?
I think the main focus would be to develop a website, and following that, it would be apps on either iOS or Android for the purpose of making a trial run to test out things like which businesses are best to partner with and what logistical items that might not be thought of now, which will come up later and is important. There's already some options available, so there wouldn't be, at the moment for the trial run, too much money would have to be spent on developing an application. I think in the months following the trial run is when development on a website would really start, probably a month or two afterwards, after things like logistical items we didn't think of before and figuring out what exactly needs to be on there is set.
Awesome, very nice. I love the presentation. I loved how you used a lot of data in it.
I'll go next. That was very, very well done. I'll repeat what Raj just said. Love when we have a data packed presentation, just visualizing everything and throwing everything into numbers makes things a lot more easy to grasp. So I do appreciate that. So my question is your product, have you thought about the product of, is it the drivers and the technology platform? Is it just the technology? And are you thinking of it kind of working the same way as Uber would, in terms of people can sign up and anybody can become an Uber driver as long as they qualify for X, Y, and Z and such? So have you thought about that process, or are you thinking, or is it going to be something where you actually hire specific people to do the driving?
So at the moment, for what I've researched, the plan would be, once the official launch happens, to adopt a model similar to kind of what Uber and Postmates do, where they have people sign up, and if they're qualified, they can do the deliveries. For the purpose of the trial run, logistically, it's a bit easier to just hire people outright. Obviously, there's going to be difficulties getting people to sign up for it. I think as looking at the business as a whole, I think the product is both having the drivers doing the deliveries and the platform, because it's offered as a solution or a product both to businesses and to consumers purchasing the products.
Okay. And then something else just to keep in mind, it's more of a logistical point and maybe potential question is just, have you thought about the idea of somebody wanting fresh tomatoes from this farm, and they want corn from this farm, and then they want fresh fruit or fresh vegetables from this supermarket? So going to 5 or 6 different places to get all that, is that something that you've thought about as well, and what the potential nightmare might be in terms of actually going and picking all that up?
Yeah, that was something I was definitely thinking about. I haven't looked into that completely. One thing other businesses do, which would be an option we can do, is depending on location, like how far away it is, they charge an extra fee. That can be applied. One thing that I thought that might help with this, that I talked about a little bit, is that given that it's weekly deliveries, things like when each delivery needs to be done and what each delivery is going to be sorted out like a week in advance. So there's some ability to figure out what would be the best route to get all of that stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that all makes sense. And it irks me how much Uber and Postmates take advantage of small businesses. So I definitely think there's this narrow window of this. There are people that care about small businesses still getting, their cut of a purchase and then not going to this massive business like Uber. So there's definitely an area for something like this. So good job on thinking of it, because it's definitely something that I would absolutely would support.
Congratulations. That was a very great presentation. Like the other judges said, it is so important to make sure your numbers are presented. You have everything graphed out beautifully. I'm an economics major, so the fact that I can see data right out is awesome for me. One of my questions is, have you reached out to any other people who use some of your competitors' apps and asked what they feel is missing from those services specifically, and maybe that's something that you could offer on your end?
I haven't really reached out to any people myself. From basically online research, the main thing that was missing out from their perspective was things like either local farms or local smaller businesses like small groceries that they would purchase from. Other than that, I don't have too many like exact separate things that I saw.
Cool. No, that's okay. I know that every app is different in its own way. Some apps are better than others. But I think it was a great idea. I love how you decided to prioritize small businesses, especially right now, or well, over the next couple of years, we'll see how the effect of the pandemic really hit the businesses that have been going on for years and of course had to adapt due to COVID. So I think that's a great idea. And even if you maybe thought of like a tiered pricing for those small businesses, maybe offering a discount. And then if there's any corporate companies like the big chains, maybe they could pay a higher level because those are the businesses that can afford it technically these days. But overall, great job.
Yes, I got a quick one for you. The thing I saw, subscription model. Is that a subscription model for the farm and for the customer? One or the other, both? And when I see subscription, those subscription models work, especially in a manpower, labor, and resource intensive business like this, if you put some boundaries on the amount of service you deliver for that fixed price. Help me understand how you've thought through that in terms of which side is paying a subscription and how are you gonna, I'll use this word, limit the amount of service, still deliver good service, but limit it to a degree to make your finances work.
Yeah. So what my current plan was that the subscription model or the subscription of $30 a month would be charged specifically to the users of the platform, so people ordering. In terms of limits to make sure that
If I did a subscription and I call you to deliver, 4 times a week, right?
Mhm.
Versus your model says it works if I only do twice a month.
Right.
There's a disconnect there.
Something, Ganesh,
please.
something that maybe you could think about, that it may be a very strange place to look for any sort of guidance, but AAA, what they do is, they offer, in one of their subscription plans, they offer like free towing within 10 miles. So say your subscription plan becomes, for $30 a month, you get X number of miles worth of travel between, your house and all of the places that they want you to go. So if the customer wants you to deliver food 5 times a week, which that's a lot of food, but or maybe they just really want it fresh, but then that way that subscription model is covered for a certain number of miles, and there may be customers that end up using less than that miles, so therefore you're actually pocketing that difference. But then if they end up going over that number of miles traveled, then that's when you can add on some extra costs, which it can kind of help with a little bit of what I think Tom is referencing of, if they're asking you to do it every single day, then it's going to end up being a detriment to your bottom dollar, frankly.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think too, you can even create multi-tiered plans, as in, for example, a year membership is X dollars and you save more by committing to a year. Small things like that. But I also wanted to point out, props to you, Ganesh. I love that you took the time to put a professional background behind you. I think in presentations where you're presenting to investors, like Tom was saying earlier, to pretend this is an investment, that means a lot to investors. And I love the suit too. So great job.
Yeah. All right, we are at 10 minutes. Gina, thanks for the reminder. Okay, we're coming to our last presentation. Team from Westford Academy. Sahi and Meg, or Megana? Do you go by Meg?
Magna.
Magna. Can you share? Are you all set with sharing? There you go. Good.
Hi, I'm Meghna.
Hi, I'm Ashi. We're the CEOs of SignalMap.
And we are here to solve your Wi-Fi problems and make your life a whole lot easier. So who here hasn't had their Wi-Fi crash right in the middle of their favorite show, an important meeting, or the most crucial play of the game? Wi-Fi routers transmit signals across a space, allowing devices to connect to the internet wirelessly. The signal's range and strength can decrease if factors within the environment provide interference, or if multiple devices and draining software use up the bandwidth. This demand for better reliable internet is reflected in our primary research of 186 Massachusetts residents in November 2020, which revealed 40% of respondents have Wi-Fi connectivity related issues 3 to 7 times per week.
So let's talk more into the internet issues Americans face every day and why we chose to delve into this market. Wi-Fi is utilized daily by 85% of Americans, over 313 million active internet users, making the United States the world's third largest online market. However, as many as 52% of users suffer from poor Wi-Fi connectivity. And I know just hearing this number is shocking, and it gets worse. Even broadband, higher quality internet connection, which over 97% of Massachusetts residents have access to, results in the mean internet speed of 120 Mbps. For reference, 100 Mbps is sufficient to sustain internet for 3 to 4 people. But keep in mind, in this day and age, we live off Wi-Fi. Bandwidth is considerably expended with the consumption of online games and streaming of high-quality HD videos. Other sources of interference emit their own radio waves, thus averting Wi-Fi signals that run between the same wavelengths. For example, microwaves, baby monitors, and satellite TV receivers. Internet providers offer plans with various levels of internet speed that grow progressively expensive, limiting user access. So, unsurprisingly, the problem Americans are facing now is having not even close to enough bandwidth. The spread of COVID-19 escalated these issues. More than ever, Wi-Fi is of the utmost importance.
Our software addresses the consumer need of seeking an affordable and efficient solution for Wi-Fi issues. Our initial marketing scale would be Massachusetts, where over 6.9 million people reside based on the 2019 Census Bureau estimates. Our primary market is Wi-Fi consuming families in Massachusetts with multiple members consuming Wi-Fi simultaneously. Our secondary market is Wi-Fi consuming individuals in Massachusetts that need higher quality internet for education or work. And our tertiary market is educational and industrial consumers in Massachusetts. Businesses and school buildings have a large number of Wi-Fi users and therefore face many connectivity challenges.
Now I'm sure you're thinking, yes, these women are making some high promises, but is this actually feasible? And I'm elated to present to you this very simple and inexpensive solution. SignalMap's diagnostic software generates a heat map of Wi-Fi signal strength and range within a space. Dead zones, areas that fall outside the signal range of the router, are marked on the map. Furthermore, SignalMap identifies factors that interfere with Wi-Fi signals and how much bandwidth connected devices are consuming. When a space is congested with devices, for example, if every member in a household has activated their phone and computer, the signal range will decrease. Awareness of these issues allows users to make effective changes, such as disabling devices temporarily, buying Wi-Fi extenders, or installing a mesh router system. The signal data used to generate the heat map is relayed in real time by a Raspberry Pi 4 Model B, which connects wirelessly to Wi-Fi routers.
The Raspberry Pi is an affordable credit card-sized computer, unlike the expensive hardware of other companies. Unlike any previous software, SignalMap processes data in real time and selectively provides features to cater to ordinary people for their everyday needs. SignalMap's combination of wireless technology and our real-time data processing heat map is built around an algorithm that can be protected under a provisional patent for 12 months. Once the software underlying the algorithm is established, a utility patent can protect the algorithm as SignalMap's technological property.
What we are looking for in order to realize this incredible product is funding $240,000. Let's break this number down. We need capital in order to accomplish the following goals: employment, marketing, and the product expenses of hardware, shipping, and the application for a utility patent. The application for a long-term utility patent will require lawyer's assistance, which in combination with the application fees could range between $5,000 to $15,000, an extreme that we accounted for. with a margin for additional cost, funding of $240,000 will allow us to launch our startup.
Thank you. SignalMap is a revolutionary product that strives to optimize Wi-Fi connectivity, enabling users to wait less and experience more. With affordability and unique features, we are working to provide the average household with the best Wi-Fi connectivity possible. Thank you for your time today, and we hope to work with you in the near future to optimize internet connectivity for America.
Thank you. And Asai, thank you so much. Terrific presentation. Judges.
Wow, great job, ladies. I have definitely experienced this problem firsthand. 6 people live in my house, and I made the mistake of taking an important meeting at the house last week. And for a split second, my Wi-Fi went out and I was dying of embarrassment. So I definitely could use your device. I think it was amazing that you took the time to map out how much money it would cost to bring your product to market. And I was actually very impressed by how realistic your numbers were. My question for you is, if you were to be awarded funding tonight, how would you go ahead about raising the additional capital needed to bring this idea to market?
I think that with the money we would be awarded tonight, we would begin doing more market research and then take this and pitch it to bigger competitions that exist, like Blue Ocean, which I think would have been our next step if we continue to pursue this.
Very nice.
Yeah, and also just going around marketing ourselves and looking for sponsors, I think would be the best way to approach getting more capital.
Very nice. Great job, ladies. Great presentation.
Fantastic presentation. Very well done. Like Raj just said, I wanted to commend you for the very realistic numbers and also kind of breaking it down into different quadrants and everything. It was just very well done. One thing that I was really, just because I was jotting down notes, I was wondering if you could just bring me back to how the users in the house would actually access the map. I believe you said it was through a small computer of some sort. Can you run through this with me one more time on how actually, if I buy this, where can I access all this information?
So the map will be displayed on an application that you can see through your phone.
Okay.
The data is relayed through a small computer called a Raspberry Pi. It's basically just, it's like the size of a credit card. It just has all the processing units in it, and it wirelessly connects to the Wi-Fi router and pulls the information of like which devices are consuming Wi-Fi based on Bluetooth signals, and then relays that information back to your phone and creates this map.
Okay. All right. That helps me a lot. Apologies, as I was writing down notes, I missed the detail that it goes right to like an app on your phone. But that sounds great. So I guess the only other thing that I would ask that I'm wondering is, what is, I know your market, you're thinking Massachusetts. Are you thinking maybe something that you might not have thought about, or maybe you have, or gamers? I feel like gamers are always constantly searching for better Wi-Fi connection. That may be an avenue where you can actually say, gamers, this is for you. I don't know if that's something that you've thought about yourself in your planning meetings at all, but maybe something to think about. But I don't really have any other questions, but I was very impressed with your presentation. So very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely great job. My first note is awesome presentation. I was wondering if you guys have thought about maybe integration within other services, or like cable services and Wi-Fi services. I feel like this would be a great idea to be implemented like through the Xfinity app, like the one that I have. I know in my house in particular, the Wi-Fi doesn't work in one room versus the other, but sometimes I can't tell. So I think this would be something that could be easily implemented or even applied through apps that are already developed. I also had an idea that through convention centers. So when there's convention centers, there's so many people that also need to use Wi-Fi and through gaming and stuff like that as well. I think that idea could be brought into with that application. So the convention centers could use your device in that way. I was wondering if you thought about it in any particular manner, like events and stuff like that could happen.
We did think about expanding this app so that eventually, I think our first customer segment would have been like families and individuals, but then we were kind of thinking about expanding towards like businesses or large buildings where there's a lot of people using Wi-Fi at the same time. So convention centers would definitely be one of those buildings where we'd want to reach out to places like that.
And the idea behind like our slogan is to make Wi-Fi connectivity better for America. So our idea is to get this into as many people's hands as possible. So that's definitely something that we would look into.
Exactly. Cool. And I think it's a great idea because right now a lot of people, they don't want to have to wait for their Wi-Fi. You know, they don't want to have to wait for something to load. If it doesn't load, they're going to go into a different app and a different service. So I think you really hit the nail on this. So congratulations. Good job to the both of you.
Another thing to maybe consider as well, which as Tatyana was talking about the convention centers kind of went off in my head, was when I was a college student, I wanted to know, you're on Wi-Fi all the time. I wanted to know, like, if I walked outside and I like wanted to work outside in like one of the first nice days of the year, where can I go outside that actually has Wi-Fi access? So that may be another thing that maybe a potential customer could be universities, and trying to work with them in a sense to get an idea of where on my campus can I get good Wi-Fi connection, where can I get poor Wi-Fi connection. So just another thought, because that is something that I definitely would have loved here in the springtime when I was in school.
So just to build on what Tyler just said, just help me understand. This single Raspberry Pi, if you will, sensor sits in a fixed location in the home and is sensing the strength of the Wi-Fi signal, as well as the others who are currently accessing that signal, to give some type of an indication as to if I as a user wanted to connect at that time, it would be good or bad. Is that a fair statement?
Yes. So the Raspberry Pi will, like, if you assume it's over here,
Yeah.
it basically, it can it sends out Bluetooth signals and it can access information from the Wi-Fi router directly, which connects to all of your devices in different areas in your home through Bluetooth signals. And they get weaker as you go farther away from the Wi-Fi router. So the Raspberry Pi can measure like the amount of it, it's like measured by Mbps, which is like data that you download per second. And it can access that information, allowing you to know which areas are weaker in Wi-Fi, which ones are stronger, and how much each device is consuming at that time.
So are you Bluetoothing to those other devices or just to the router?
So the router, when it sends out this data, it like needs to connect with that device. And we just access the information from the router that is sending Bluetooth signals to all of your devices.
Because I think to something that Tyler made reference to, I was just trying to understand, are you leveraging static devices, or, which this somehow implies, you're accessing more dynamic information for all those users that are kind of floating around, and based on the quality of their connections, you're assessing kind of a, if you will, meta level quality throughout all those different locations. Is that a fair statement?
I'm sorry, I don't completely understand, but
So how do you know? Let me ask it this way.
So to put it in like one way that you could use it is you take out your phone and let's say like you're in your room and you're in a Google Meet and you look at your phone and you see that on your Google Meet like the Wi-Fi is lagging, and you can see if somewhere someone is doing something, like maybe your little brother might be downstairs playing video games and he's using up the Wi-Fi. You could see where the Wi-Fi is being used up, and you can maybe unplug that and come back to your meeting, and you could have better
Okay.
Wi-Fi in that situation.
Okay.
That's
So
one way. Yeah.
is that, so you're telling me that the router is openly providing you that, what I would consider proprietary information to, for instance, if it's an Xfinity router?
Yeah.
You guys have access to that info?
Yes.
Good, okay, good. Wow, cool stuff.
Minutes, just FYI.
Good. Well, listen, we're at 10 minutes. Excellent job on all the presentations. Hope that you found this experience interesting, worthwhile, compelling, and that you picked up some nice tidbits. Before the judges, I don't think we're gonna have much time afterwards. I am gonna ask each one of them to share some additional insights and perspectives, not only on what we went through here today, but on their paths to becoming entrepreneurs overall. Because at the beginning when I did the intros, that was just to kind of let folks know. But now that we've gone through and there's some perspective, and the judges can share some insights that are tailored to the teams, again, based on their career paths. Raja, Tyler, Tatyana, 2 or 3 minutes. What else can you share that would be, encourage and get these budding entrepreneurs to really bite off and embrace this experience?
Well, I just wanted to congratulate you guys all on such incredible presentations. This is going to be such a tough decision. I'm looking at my scoreboard right now and everyone's like almost tied for first place. There's only a few points difference, but I think regardless of the outcome of tonight and whether or not you go home with a prize, I encourage you all to continue working on your ideas. I think you all have the potential to be super successful, and keep believing in yourselves. When I started Invisaware, I was only 20 years old. I started my company in college. So many people kept saying that because of my young age, our company wouldn't really be successful, which is definitely not the case. So Tom did a great job of introducing what I do. But we make safety devices that are disguised as everyday accessories. They look like this necklace. We have them in bracelets, keychains, fitness bands, scrunchies, and they allow you to call for help discreetly. If you're in an emergency situation, like let's say someone's following you or somebody tries to attack you. And when my best friend and I started the company 5 years ago, everyone kept telling us that 9 out of 10 startups never make it to market. We knew we needed at least $500,000 to get the product out on the market. People kept saying, that's a lot of money. You're only 20 years old. How are you going to get that money? You'll never be able to make it. And Ray and I would always smile and we would say, well, what if we're the 1 out of 10 startups that makes it to market? What if we do raise the funding? What if we do make it to market? What if one day we save someone's lives? And we never gave up. And it's been such an incredible journey. Not only did we raise that $500,000, we raised millions of dollars. We've been featured on Good Morning America, ABC News, CBS, WBZ. We've sold tens of thousands of units and generated millions of dollars in revenue. So keep believing in yourselves, guys. I really think you can all be successful, and I can totally envision all of you guys sitting in my seat judging in a few years. So keep up the great work, and I loved all of your ideas.
And Raja, you beat me to the punch. I was going to ask one piece of advice, and so that piece of advice, be the 1 in 10, right?
Yes, there's a 10% shot. I think all of us in this room can be the 1 out of 10.
Beautiful, thank you. So Tyler, Tatyana, that little bit on the experience today, but that piece of advice that to leave these teams with.
Yeah, a couple of things that were really moving to me early on in the process of our work was, you're the expert. You know, I remember us being told early on, there's this feeling of kind of imposter syndrome when you're so young working on these things, feeling as though that you know, other people have more experience than I do. Other people are going to be have been in this field forever and they haven't figured out, or they're not doing this. But we were told pretty early on, you know, when you stand up there and you start talking about your product, like many of you did today, nobody knows what it is that you are doing better than yourselves. Nobody can stop you and say, oh, wait, no, you know, Clean Crate is actually this. Like, they can't do that because it's not their idea. It is your idea. It is what it is that you are doing. It's something that you're passionate about. So one thing that really made a difference for us was, you know, really telling ourselves and convincing ourselves that we are the experts. And now we've gone to a point where in our field, in our space specifically, we are viewed as one of the leaders in our work. I mean, we just run online safety education with schools. It's a very simple program, but the way that we do it has been compelling to people. It's why we've received funding, grants that are north of $1 million. That's why I testified this morning. I actually testified before Congress on this topic as well. So it's this area, telling ourselves and working out the kinks and being able to get over that feeling of imposter syndrome and knowing that what it is that you're doing is you're the experts on and you guys can make a difference. One last thing that I'll kind of leave you with is don't be afraid to change your product. Don't be afraid to make changes to it at all. Raja mentioned it earlier, how, you know, they would have, if they hadn't talked to their customer base, then they might have just ended up building another clunky help and I can't get up button. And, you know, we organizationally went through a change. When we started, Tom kind of referenced where our name come from. And when we started in a program through the Department of Homeland Security that was really focused on the time at countering issues related to the Islamic State. Now, what we do now is deliver online safety and anti-hate workshops with students. So we made those changes not too long after we started our program because we're willing to make those changes. And we realized that the way that we started doing it wasn't the best way of doing it. That's not what our focus should have been on. Now we really need to hone in on some of the skills and some of the discussions that we work on now today with related to online safety and counter hate. So be willing to change. People, not everybody's going to love your idea, and that's okay. Not everybody loves what we do either. And it's part of the field. It's part of, not to be too cliche, but I guess that's part of capitalism. People just aren't going to, not everybody's going to buy in, but that doesn't mean that what you're doing is wrong or what you're doing is bad. It's all about you guys continuing on forward, being willing to change, and you're the experts. So I'll leave it at that. That was probably over 2 minutes, but yeah.
Thank you, Tyler. Tatyana.
So some advice that I guess I would have to say is, I think the best thing that you could follow within yourself is to always make sure that you're willing to learn, right? So you're going to meet different people throughout the next few years, and they're all going to come from different industries, different fields and stuff like that. So I think the best thing that you can do is just have an open mind and an open heart to different companies and different people you come in contact with. I could have never imagined doing DifferenceMaker in college. So I could never imagine doing it in high school like you guys are. So you guys should be inspired by each other and by the people around you. The first time I ever had any business experience was in my senior level business class. When I was in high school, and then I completely changed my major going into college just because of that class. So that was something that I hold dear to my heart. I'm so thankful that I had professors and teachers who are willing to give me that inspiration right off the bat. Even between Tyler and Raja, I was inspired by them when I was going through the Difference Maker process myself. So I'm even more thankful that I get to be a judge today with them as well. But yeah, I had a point with that. I lost it. But either way, believe in yourself. You're your best advocate. No matter what anybody says to you, whether you have good feedback, bad feedback, it's all important to go through that process day by day. You're not going to become a millionaire overnight, but as long as you do the steps, even the baby steps are what lead to the big dream, right? So you have to meet the new people. You have to start different ideas, go to pivot in different aspects and stuff like that. So I think as long as you focus on your dream and you really fight to be successful, it can all go well.
Thank you, Tatyana. That was so sweet of you. The last thing I wanted to say, as well as I was listening to Tyler and Tatyana, is don't get too caught up on whether or not you left here today with a prize or whether you won first place or third place. Ray and I, in our first competition that we ever did, I remember we won third place, and we were so young back then. We were both so sad. We're like, oh no, we didn't win first place. It does not matter, you guys, if you leave here with first place or third place or no award. Keep believing in yourselves, because you can definitely be super successful if you continue working hard.
Thank you, judges, for those words of wisdom. And we wanted to pull that in now, because afterwards, the awards are going to go quick. We're going to let the judges take off for, what, maybe 15 minutes or so? Give or take, that should be plenty of time. The rest of you, if you want to take a quick bio break and come on back and say 10 minutes or so, we will still be here, and we will do the award ceremony and do some closing comments. All right. Now, again, just want to reiterate and emphasize our gratitude to all of the contestants for stepping up, being part of this, for presenting in an environment that is different than something you're used to. We very much appreciate it. We encourage you all to continue in your entrepreneurial endeavors. Part of that, as was shared by the judges, myself, Holly, and your teachers, just make it happen. Step forward, reach out, talk to people, engage, leverage the resources, and just don't take no for an answer. Make it happen. So with that, and Holly, we're going honorable mention, third, second, first, right?
Yep, so the slide after this one just lists all the team and then the prizes. The slide after that one is honorable mention, then third place, second place, first place.
Okay. So here are the teams, as Holly just said. First, second, third, honorable mention. We're going to go in reverse order. Thank you, teams, once again. And with that, honorable mention, lovely Difference Maker gift pack, including t-shirt, pen, lanyard, water bottle, and notebook. Team from Neshoba Regional High School, Abby Eastman, who presented on Pandemic Pack. Congratulations, Abby.
Thank you.
Third place, $200 to the team from Tewksbury High. Mia, Ava, congratulations.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. Keep pushing with the Insel Watch. Second place, teams from Chelmsford High. Clean Crate, Ganesh, congratulations, terrific job.
Thank you.
Second place to $300. And then first place, the team from Westford Academy, Signal Map, Ashley and Magna, $500. First place, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
We will get you your prizes. Holly, you want to speak to that again? The giving of prizes and how they're going to get that?
So as far as the DECA funding, Gina will be managing that, so she can give the teams more information. As far as the DifferenceMaker gear, we will get that over to Gina, and then Gina can get those prizes to you.
So,
Great
team,
job, everyone.
yes, terrific job. And I'm just going to emphasize something that Raj just said because it's so important. A lot of the teams that I know I mentor and engage with who've been through accelerators, incubators, programs like this, pitch contests. Yes, it's always nice to win a prize, but there's value, and in many cases, more value in the community, in the advice, in the mentoring, in the engagement. So don't get discouraged. Keep pushing. All of you had terrific ideas. And please, don't hesitate to reach out to all of us with ideas, questions, requests for help. We're here to help. Gina, any final words?
Is there any part of your hub where I can practice making gluten-free bread that's actually delicious?
We don't have any kitchens.
I
at our
just
hub.
took I just took a huge risk and told you my idea. So no,
Dawn.
seriously, thank you so very much. This is a really priceless opportunity for these students, and judges, thank you so much for taking the time and giving them feedback and having that empathy and that understanding of what they're going through real time. It's invaluable, really. Thank you very, very much.
And Holly, final word?
Yes, I just want to, of course, thank everyone again for their time today, especially the judges. They're very busy, but they really love to give back and, you know, mentor students and give advice. So hopefully you learned a lot from them today. And to all the students, your hard work has really paid off. And as everyone else has stated, don't be discouraged. Always believe in yourself. Seek out help when you need it. We're all here to help you and push you forward and guide you. And, you know, at some point, maybe you'll be some judges here. Maybe you'll come to UMass Lowell, get more involved in the DifferenceMaker program. And for all the teachers and Gina, just thank you for the partnership, because obviously this wouldn't happen without a bunch of people and their hard work coming together. So thank you all. And hopefully we'll have a third annual DifferenceMaker High School Idea Challenge next year, and we'll be in person. And hopefully we can get you all on campus at some point to tour some of those entrepreneurial spaces we talked about earlier. So just a big thank you, a big congratulations, and of course, stay safe.
Thank you.
All right, folks, with that, we're going to call it, I was going to say call it a night, but we're going to call it an afternoon. So 4:15, you get 45 minutes back.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.